So this conversation happened in a bar about 2 months ago. So before that, it didn't. This presentation just didn't exist. And in that bar, after a few beers, I was talking to a couple of engineers, IT engineers. I asked them, had they ever heard of a guy called Richard Cook? Okay. Anyone ever hear of Richard Cook? Hands up. Brilliant. One. Great. Fantastic. So you know roughly what this is going to be about. Not so much. Okay. They didn't, and I was explaining to them about resilience and reliability. So my background was mechanical engineering, and reliability was kind of in that space. Okay. So I was talking to them about resilience and what that means. And as I was walking through it, they were surprised, and I was surprised that they were surprised. So hence the presentation. Okay, so I'm going to share that journey. A couple of, I suppose, 6 months ago, I was asked to research this body of work. Not this particular body of work, but we have to start somewhere, right? And this is before the days of ChatGPT. Okay, you couldn't just type in, what is resilience? Okay, you had to, believe it or not, Google something. Can you believe that? And this is what I got. There's a bunch of different things. There's a bunch of different dictionaries, and this is one of the definitions that came up. Interestingly, side note, if you ever look into words, fascinating how the different languages share common words. I find it fascinating, but maybe that's just me. I thought I knew what resilience meant until I started digging a little bit further. And then I was like, whoa, one second. There's emotional resilience, clinical resilience, sport resilience. And it sounds like marketing are having a field day with the word resilience. And maybe they are, because you're going to see a bit more of it in a few minutes. Bringing it into the world that we're in, I suppose we've got one definition here of the technological resilience is the ability of a system or organization to rebound or withstand disruptions to services. Okay, everyone in this room, I'm hoping, are technologists. You'll understand the idea of an outage. Hands up. Yeah. How many have lived through outages? Hands up. Great. Okay. You'll understand the firefighting that happens, the running around, and the scenario of, oh, there's a few people running around for more than 30 minutes. This could be a big thing. Anyone ever experienced that? Yeah. Okay. Great. So, we've had plenty of stories like that. Okay. So, ITIL 4, going into the world of operations, they have their own definition as well. And we're starting to see a bit of a trend in terms of resilience. It's about providing a service despite a threat, okay? You can get far more colorful definitions in a bit. And now we're getting to the world of, who recognizes this guy? Anyone? One? No? Okay, great. Fantastic YouTube video. One of the best YouTube videos I've ever watched. This guy talks about 30 minutes, and I was like, when I came across it, this is his thumbnail, bar the white boundary. And then when I came across it, I was like, man, it's 30 minutes. I don't usually watch 30-minute videos on YouTube. And but after the first 2-3 minutes, he really sucked me in. This guy's an anesthetologist. What's an anesthetologist got to do with IT? This guy studied for about 20 years complex systems. Not the body, but the process, surgery, why people die, why they don't die on the table. And so he had this paper of 18, I suppose, nuggets of information. It's a very short paper. It's probably 3 pages long. Each one of those nuggets are nuggets. They are awesome pieces of information that will resonate with you all, and I encourage you all to download it. Okay, so this is maybe 10 years ago right now, maybe a bit more. But each one was super, super interesting. And if you've lived through the world of disruption and failure and system down outages, you'll understand every single one of those. He talks about every system has failures, minor failures, that you live with these failures. It's just that there's a cascading event when eventually the straw breaks the camel's back. So there's a bunch of different things in here that I wanted to highlight to you all. And here's 5, 4 or 5. Catastrophe requires multiple failures. Single point failures are not enough. That's reasonable. Every one of these, 18 of them, are reasonable. Complex systems run in degraded mode. Very, very interesting. Failure-free operations require experience with failure. So what he's saying is, you need failure. And in the world of reliability, which is counterintuitive to failure, because you don't want failure in the world of reliability, he's saying, 10 years ago, he's saying, you need failure. You need failure because that's when you learn from failure, and that's when you learn to anticipate when these minor flags start occurring so that you can get ahead of a complete outage. Very, very interesting paper. Very interesting video. 30 minutes, worth checking it out. Okay. Skip on 10 years, and anyone know of chaos engineering? Yeah, fascinating, right? It's an absolute fascinating domain. To the point of, so he's saying introduce failures, and then you start having the conversations around game days. So you purposefully, chaos monkeys, so you purposefully introduce failure in a system so that you can try and build in safety nets and I suppose break the effect of cascading events, okay? It's a growing domain of experience, and they're automating the I suppose chaos monkey on steroids. Fascinating area, and these are the top organizations. Netflix has a great story around the chaos monkey back in 2011. I think it's 2011. AWS went down, complete outage. Everyone suffered except Netflix. Why? Because Netflix had realized everything fails at some point. Netflix were saying, okay, we need to introduce this chaos monkey. And they were able to provide a service despite everybody else going down. Okay? Going back to Richard Cook. Richard Cook referenced this guy, Holnagel. And in that presentation, he starts talking about monitoring, responding, and everyone here will understand monitoring. Everybody has a monitoring solution, or every organization has a monitoring solution, okay? We sell monitoring solutions, and it occurred to me, it's like, well, I'm not trying to convince people to buy a monitoring solution because everyone has them, okay? Everybody responds to a system outage, and you know about it because, well, it went down, right? So you're going to respond. What's really interesting is the learning and anticipating. Now, this is a domain-independent definition of resilience. This is why I really, really like this. So it's monitoring, responding, and it talks about learning, learning from those failures, okay? And then you want to be able to anticipate those failures, I suppose, to get ahead of any cascading events. That's fair. All very reasonable. So when I came across this, I was like, oh, done. And my research is now complete. I can package this up, and away we go. Except, I've been watching this from afar the last couple of months or so. And it's just like an itch. I just can't stop scratching it. On Reddit, it's fantastic stuff. Some of the comments in there. I was introduced to a book called Kill It by Fire. It's about legacy technology. Worth reading. It's a fantastic book. And so Musk, the headline speaks for itself, but he ends up firing everyone, and then he's wondering why you've got an outage. So something was telling me is like, resilience is more than technology. Resilience is more than redundancy, fault tolerance. And you know what? It was right. So as soon as you start digging a little bit more, and again, this is before the world of ChatGPT, right? So I had to do some digging to get this. This is from a fantastic paper on data resilience. Yeah, this speaks for itself, and it talks about technology, but it's more than technology. It's about people. It's about process. It's about governance. And you know what? More importantly, it's about tacit knowledge. So that know-how, that experience that people have built up by monitoring these systems, by ingesting these signals, and by learning from these failures, it's about that tacit knowledge and that know-how. So no wonder Twitter has an outage because he's fired all his staff. Because no one knows how it behaves, because it's such a complex beast. Heck, I just saw, last week I saw he's trying to rewrite the entire stack. Whether he needs to or not, I don't know. So, again, data resilience, so that's an interesting topic. And we're getting close to why I was asked to do this body of research. And I was asked to do, well, I fell across this, and this is a worthy side note for anyone that's in this space and that are in particular industries that you're going to see in a few minutes. Operational resilience. And what does that mean? And I guess it encompasses the people, process, governance, technology, business continuity. It's a fantastic definition. And Gartner has a really good definition, really thorough definition. But to be honest, at this point, we're drifting into the world of risk management. And I'm like, enough. I've done enough there. I just don't want to be involved in risk management. I've avoided it for 20 years. And so I've gone back into a little bit world of operational resilience. Now, this is just a side note, because when I came across this, I was like, okay, I'm going to have to talk about this. Because operators of essential services, who recognizes that phrase? Anyone? No? Great, okay. So operators of essential services came about in the world of COVID. And pre-COVID, we would have come across it in Ireland. We would have known it as the beast from the east. Is when we had snow in Ireland. We had it up to about there, and there was a run on bread. Okay, all of a sudden, supermarkets were out of bread because of the snow. So then COVID hit, and then we have this world of, well, resilience isn't just about security forces. It's not just about healthcare. It's actually more about energy, utility, water, telecoms, transportation, your supply chain. Okay? So in the world of operation resilience, governments are very, very conscious of that. They were very conscious of that 20 years ago when it came to the financial markets, but that's expanding, and this is the worthy side note, is if you're in those industries, beware of these regulations. Some are in place already, and some further are coming down the line. They're going to have an impact on IT systems as a whole, not just your data, okay? In terms of reporting, in terms of redundancy, in terms of high availability. So it's worth being aware of these regulations that are coming down the line. So we do have UK ones, we have USA ones, and we have EU ones here as well. Now we're getting into the world, that was a side note. We're getting into the world, this is where I have to go fast. We're getting to the world of why I was asked to do this research. So if you're maybe aware of cybersecurity, this graphic is called a left of boom, right of boom graphic. So that threat or this boom is human error, natural disaster, cyber threats, cybersecurity, ransomware, denial of service, et cetera, et cetera. So what do you do before impacts the after, and how quickly you can be back up and running, okay? Again, talking about resilience, providing a service despite a threat. High availability is great for that because you don't have one single point of failure. At Quest, and this is one of the topics it was in the abstract, and hopefully that's why you're here, is to understand why we're top 5. We're not the first, we're top 5. Microsoft co-sell partner, and because we have solutions across the board. We don't just have Toad, we have solutions across the board that touch on all of these topics or capabilities. We have backup, we have identity access management, privileged access management, endpoint security, everything on the left-hand side. We don't have everything, but we certainly can help you consolidate your vendors. High availability architecture, data governance, change auditing, and then on the right of the boom is we can get you back up and running very, very quickly. These are the products. I won't get into them all, but it does cover all of those capabilities with data security, person security, governance, access, etc. Here are our products under the co-cell, and we are at time. This is me. Do take a scan of that. That brings you to our SQL Server page, given that we're at SQL Bits. And this is our world. This is my world. And I wanted to share this note, this story about operational resilience and cyber resilience. Thank you.